Okay. Okay. So what we have is, let's go back. We were in the middle of this mitzvah of what is commonly known as Baltashkis, which I'm not 100% clear whether it's Baltashkis or Baltichlis or both of them, whatever. And the mitzvah where it's quoted originally is a hashchosas ilonos in a siege, and then the Rambam Kila quotes a tam of the mitzvah, which we pointed out. You don't know where this comes from, and the other achronim seem to say, the Klichemda and someone else, they both say that this is not. Some achronim say it's a tam, but they say it's not a tam. But what's happening is the Rambam saying that even though you get something positive out of it, it's still chayiv. The fact, in other words, the idea of lirik, the Rambam is only going to develop later in when he talks about hashchosas kelim, whatever. V'chein kol hefsid nichnas tachas lav zeh go misha seref beged lorik for no purpose. Oh, yishave kli lorik. And he's very clear about that lorik is very important over here. And and here also, so it's larik, and he doesn't say larik. The issue you have to think about, but that's not what I want to talk about at all at the moment now. When he says later on in the mitzvah, he says, "Ubesoif makes his boye shakritzes ilonois tevois leke v'omu v'azorosa mehocha kimenu soichal v'oiser loisichois." He's quoting the other law, okay, which he quotes the whole thing at the beginning. He quotes the puzzle of Shashkas Eitza Lindoyach Olav Galzin Kimenu Soichal v'oiser loisichois. Okay. But you see, when he quotes the word makis, he doesn't say that it has to be lyric or not. We have no clue of what happened over here. Okay, so you could say maybe he's only quoting the Gemara, and the Gemara doesn't say anything. On the other hand, on the other hand, maybe Ilonois, even Shaloi B'Shas. See, you could see at the beginning you get the impression Ilonois B'Shas Motzo. It's irrelevant of what the purpose is. But here he's talking about Stami Lonas Tevos. But on the other hand, L'cheira, the Rambam it's Lav Dafka, because the Rambam says Loike on all Hashchosa. So Ilonas Tevos L'cheira is Lav Dafka, so we don't know. I'm not sure if there's a diak here one way or the other. Okay? Now, what I really want to get involved in is just 2 points, okay? Point number one is there's a phrase in the middle of this lav, between the two lavim, ki mimenu seichal. And what's the import of that? And just to whet your appetite, the Ramban, in his mitzvah shocharav, there's a mitzvah say ki mimenu seichal. Okay? And we'll talk about the key and this and that. We'll see. Okay, okay. And the second point is to understand when you require derech hashchosa or not. And the Rav discussed this more barichos, not only in terms of Baltashchis, but also in terms of 2 other lavim of the lav of kriyas pimiil and the lav of loisasum kein Lashem Elokeichem, and we'll see about it. Okay, mitzvah Hashem. Okay, let's go slow. Then we'll go on to the next mitzvah with it. Okay. Kimimenu Seichal, Kisotsu El Ir Yomim Rabim, this is the Pasuk, they lochem oleho, Lesofso. So I think I mentioned last time that this is the second siege. This is not the first siege. There are two sieges in the there's a siege when you curry the shalom, and you get the impression, the Ram doesn't quote this, it's a Sifri, and the siege, only the second siege after they are not in the shalom, it's a siege laharim. It's a siege to starve them or to force them to surrender. But the first siege is just to give them the opportunity either to put down the arms or war. Okay, and I assume the lav is we're talking about the second siege. I assume that's during a war. It's not the pre-war siege. But I can't tell you anything about it. Okay, Kimenu Seichal. Okay. Ki mimenu seichal leisichois ki v'ois leisichois ki ha'odam eitz hasoda lov b'nechem ha'motza. So the Ramban, the mitzvah shocharav, mitzvah shishis, is moina mitzvah ki mimenu seichal. Was a mitzvah to eat the peiros from the. It's a very strange thing. And he says like this: Shestavinu shenotzo al ir lecho min hoilonis shebegvula kol yemei hamotzo. What the mitzvah is only yemei hamotzo. Okay. V'im nichois oisom levatola. So here. Derech hashchoso oive al asay moisef alav. So the derech hashchoso, according to the Ramban, is even in the ikalav. Correct? That's what he's saying. And the asay. See, I'm not sure if this is only an Isaseh. You see, if you say it's only an Isaseh, then the first sentence is a little bit, what's he trying to say? It's only a setup. Shavish no salir lecho min hoilonois shebegvula kol yemei hamotzo v'im nichois oisom levatolo derech hashchoso navo aseh. Okay, so it's an Isaseh. And if you knock them down to Kilu in order to, for wood, in order to make the siege, so you're not over an Isaseh, but you're not Mekayim the mitzvah say because you don't eat the peiros. But the Isaseh, it's only derech hashchosa. So I'm not sure what happened here. It's a very strange Ramban. But, no one in their right mind, the way we were brought up, maybe, or whatever, would say this, HaMitzvos say, eat the peiros from the Elon. It's, it doesn't fit into any paradigm that we're, or category, whatever you want, that we're aware of. But a priori, that's what it looks like. She's Avinu, Shenotza al-Ir lecho, min ha'ilonois shebegvula, kol yemei hamotzo, v'im nichois oisom, levatola, derech hashchosa, oive al asay moisiv al halav hamufurish boy vu'ama yis'al kimimenu seichal v'oisel sichois u'beferish om v'sifri kimimenu seichal mitzvahs asay v'oisel sichois mitzvahs loisas v'roi halav lefi cheshboinoi v'mitzvah shim nogam ezeh. So we have to know what he means. Lefi cheshboinoi b'mitzvos. What does it mean? Lefi cheshboinoi b'mitzvos. Is it because that the Rambam in general proves from the Sifri whenever it says mitzvahs asay, it's a rai that it's a mitzvah? That's certainly reasonable.
Hmm.
Or another option is, that's one option, okay? Another option is that the we'll see it's a little bit more here. Another option is that if you have the Ram Shita, at least the Ramban interprets the Rambam, that the Rambam counts Isur Yaseh. So maybe the Fichesh Boinoi, that he learns the Rambam in Shiur Shishi. Ramban says that there's a machlokes between the Rambam and the Bahag, whether mitzvahs aseh are only kum v'aseh. That's the Bahag, and the Rambam learns also Isur Yaseh. Okay, so maybe that's the issue, and he learns the Rambam counts Isur Yaseh, and he learns that the aseh of B'dika Simonim, he learns only in Isa aseh. Okay, I'm not getting involved in this. I think we spoke about it, to say that the Lashon of the Rambam, that B'dika Simonim, or the way he refers to it, is only an Isa say, is the Lashon seems to say the opposite. Okay, but that's really neither here nor there. Okay. I just want to explore something else before we get into the Rambam. Okay. You see, the question is, if you have, you can count Isur Yaseh. He learns the Ramban, okay, and that's the Ramban. He counts in Isaseh from to Imakriv, something which is not a behemoth tahira, or chaya something, a chaya mizbeach, or the hashlomo might be Isaseh. So I'm not sure we can discuss and go through the various cases the Ramban quotes in the Mitzvah Shochar Rav. I'm only wondering that maybe I have to think. I think I'd rise about this. Just talking out loud now. Maybe you only count Isur Yaseh if there's no lav, because if there's a lav, add Isa says the question: what are you adding? It's like a lav anyway. Okay. So a priori, I would have said that's the Ramban, that he doesn't count. He knocks out 4 assays, I think from Kuf Mem Tes to Kuf Nun Aleph or Kuf Nun Beis. He counts out all the mitzvah assay that are B'dikas Behemoth Tehera, B'dikas Eifes, B'dikas Chagovim, and B'dikas Dogim. Okay. Yeah, so on the other hand, so that could have been the reason. You don't count the Isa say if there's a lav anyway. But the Lashon over here doesn't seem to support that, because why should he say then Navo al Asay Moisef al Alav? And this is the reason why he's counting it. You see, and if the only reason it's counting is the first sentence, which we think is that, understand, HaMitzvos say to eat from the payas and the Elon, so then the discussion about the Isasei L'chera is superfluous, and not only superfluous, it doesn't, it not only doesn't add, but it detracts, because unless you have the opinion that an Asay, an Isasei, together with a lav, you count this too. The argument is not really an argument. Okay. Now next. Now let's see the Rambam. The Rambam doesn't count it. So the first thing that one would think about, what would think about, but I don't think it's true. And I think it's certainly something to think about. Since it says ki mimenu seichal, it's only a tam. it's not really a mitzvah. So, so maybe that's the reason why he doesn't count it. It's a tam, ki mimenu soichal, v'oisei sichos, or leisashkis. It's the reason for the lav about tashkis and about tichos. It's the same lav. So I just want to point out, even though we would have suggested such a thing, but someone who's familiar with the shaytas of the Torah, I don't believe that's correct. For example, it says in the Torah, ki hachrem tachrimem. Okay, we know that's a mitzvah say. The mitzvah say of mechi zayin amamim, correct? So I asked the following question. Doesn't it say the Torah, loisachaye kol neshama, ki hachrem tachrimem? And Ram counts both the lav, loisachaye kol neshama, ki hachrem tachrimem. So I think, okay, and you have to check out with all the various definitions of the word ki and how many different reasons it has. But I think when you have, like, you shouldn't do something ki, it's almost like elo. It's not a reason, but the opposite should happen. Kol neshama ki hachrei tachrime. And you should do it. But you shouldn't do that, but you should do this. And the same way, you shouldn't do the hashchosa, but kimeno seichal. But, you still the same problem. Who in the right mind would say, I don't say I can't say the Ramban, would say there's a mitzvah deep from the Paris. Sounds very odd. So then ki is not Nesinas Tam, but it's Elo. So l'chayr is the chatzibui. So the best way to assume in the Rambam is he doesn't count Isur Asay, just the opposite of the Ramban. And even even Tashbisu, which Rab Chaim makes a big deal about it in Minyan HaMitzvos, and he says that Ika Isa say, it's not clear in the Rambam that there's no kumbase. And so if you edit to say Rambam that he doesn't count the Yisur Asay, so you understand maybe why he doesn't count this mitzvah. And the Ram thought that it's not acceptable or not oila adas to say there's a mitzvah from the Paris. The Megillus Esther seems to take this approach. He says, newly, Hima Shalimona Rab, who lefi ma she'omu b'sifri, shehu mitzvah saseh, who loime she'eva ashchosas ilonois bi'aseh, v'lo saseh, v'lo shiye aseh b'achilos. This is still odd because then when the Rambam quoting Rayis, have to go through each case, the Rambam quotes in Minyan HaMitzvos, and he quotes the Rayit, it's a mitzvah from the Loshen Mitzvah say. So if he doesn't count Isui say, the Rayit is not much of a Rayit. And this needs work. Now, how can the Rambam bring a Rayit from all the different times of this Sefer? That's a very difficult thing. I'd just like to add something. We'll come back to this later. I want to add this point over here also. I want to read Amban Chumash, and I'm going to mention it later for a different part, but let's read it for this point. Amban Chumash in Dvorim Chof Yutes, V'atim loisasu kein lashchisa, ki tiftachu b'Hashem, you should have bitochen in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, she'yitin oisa b'yetchem. He will give you these trees, or the city with the trees, okay? Ki ha'odam eitz hasodehu, mimenu toichal v'sichya, ubo tovo ha'ir mipolecha b'motzo. Loima, ato tichya mimenu, achrei tetichboish ha'ir. V'gam biyoischa b'machne, lovo mipolecha b'motzo ta'asekein. Okay. So, what the Ramban has done, maybe I'm missing it, isn't then Kimimeno Seichal a reason? It's a reason, no? It's not the mitzvah to eat from it, but it's a reason since it's gonna be yours, so maybe you're an idiot to knock it off. It's a reason. You can't have it both ways. You can't say it's a reason in a mitzvah. Okay? So the only thing that I can do over here is I can pull a fast one, excuse me. But it sounds like good kasha, no? Sounds like good kasha, no? So the Ramban in his Weltanschauung, the way he looks at things is that the Torah is understood on many different levels. He has pshat and remes, whatever, right? So it could be like he has, for example, at the end of Sefer Vayikra, it says, what says it says it says kolchem asher yocham and odom lo yipodem mos yomus. Kolchem asher yocham and odom lo yipodem mos yomus. Okay, so the Ramban has a long discussion there, and he explains that there are many psukim and Tanakh you can't understand unless you interpret that Kilu the Melech or the Sanhedrin or the head, the titular head like Yiftach, Chumash and the Mishpat Acherem, it has the right to make a certain chayil that if you violate your chayim misa, right? Lo yipodem mos yumos. So l'chayra, there's the HaMitzvos over here. Chazal interpret that a person's holich lomos, there is he has no dummy or something like that. Glaces or what it's I'm not getting involved in that, okay? So the Maisi is the minyan mitzvah is not there. Pshuto shamikol l'chayra it's a mitzvah according to Ramban. The Ramban minyan mitzvah is according to the Messiahs. Whatever reason that happens to be. Okay, I'm not involved in that. But maybe the Ramban learns that since the Sifri says mitzvah say, even though Pshuta Shal Mikra, it's doch it's a tam, it's a reason that don't be an idiot. You're going to use this. It's for no reason. So maybe that's the reason that it could be minyan mitzvahs, independent of this other Ramban. I'm just telling you, to an uninitiated person looking at this Ramban and the other Ramban, it says, what's going on here? So that's a suggestion, okay? That's not the purpose of the Shiur here. We're supposed to be learning the Rambam, but That's just an aside. Okay, next. Now, okay, okay, good. Well, Yisala loisashkis is eitzel and doyachol of galzin. Ki mimenu toichal. V'oisei leisichois. V'chein kol hefsid nichnas tachas labzeh. So the kol hefsid means any type of hefsid. You see, but not every hefsid, okay? Because he doesn't include where it's only lorik. If there's a purpose, then it's not. It's not any hefsid, but it's every type of hefsid. Okay? Going to bega lorik, or yishova kli lorik. Okay. So you'll notice that, before we get they're fancy here, the Rambam, do you own this baguette? Do you own this kli? L'cheira from the Lashon, it's just the push of the kli, push of the baguette. It's nothing to do with you own, or it's just a destructive act. So you don't need Caleb. And the kli shall have to also be the same thing. And the Rambam seems to be like that. Hilchos Melachim Milchamos. In Perek Vov Halacha Yud. V'lo hilonis Volvad el kol hamishabek kelim v'kerei begodim. They're not. There's no possessive over here. Just stam begay kelim begodim. V'her is binyan v'seisei mayon u'ma'abed ma'acholois der chashchosoi v'b'leis ashchis. Okay. I'm only wondering in the Ramban if the reason for the lav is because it's going to be yours. Okay. Does that mean that he's ready to say that the lav about chashkas is only on your things? Let's look at the same Ramban again.
Oh,
okay. V'atem leisasu came lahashchisa. He tiftachu b'Hashem she'itein oisa b'yetchem. And if you wouldn't be avtacha, then you're allowed to destroy it. Ki ha'odem eitz hasadehu mimenu teichal v'sichye ubo savoy ho'ir miponecha b'motzo. And you're going to use it also now before. Loima ata tichye mimenu achrei tishmo'ir. וגם ביוסך במחנה, לא מפניך במוצא ותעסקי. Or, is he actually saying that? Or maybe something else. Maybe it's just saying, if you don't have another cheshbon to destroy it, that's the way to build a siege. Because the Ramban Chumash clearly says you can build a siege from these things. If you don't have an alternative reason for it, then you should look at it as yours. But then again, so what do you gain by that? So why is that to be yours if you have no alternative reason? It's a question about tashchis, It's like the same way the Kohen Gadol, the Rambam has in Minyan HaMitzvos, the Kufsari Aleph, the Kohen Mashuach, gives like a pep talk. It's Eirus, that they're Kefrim and whatever it is. Excuse me, jihad. Excuse me, Havdalah, and whatever. It's a pep talk to them. The Chav is lav in the Torah, you can't do it. The Ramban's mashma in pshuta shel mikra, I thought that there's a in pshuta shel mikra he's mashing an amazing thing. In Pshuta Shel Mikra, it's the lav, who it's lav of bitochen. Kilu, that if you have bitochen, that you're going to in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're going to win, so then you wouldn't destroy it because the yours. Look at the thing. Maybe Pshuta Shel Mikra, it's not because of yours and not yours, and it's a shtickle teira in the motzo milchama. Let's read it again. V'atim leisasu kein lashchisa. Ki tiftechu b'shem sheyitein oisa b'yedchem ki odem eitz asodu hu mimenu toicha v'tichya v'boy soboy iri ponecha motzo lo imo ata tichya mimenu achet tishmo ir. And if you destroy it, it's a son of bitochen. So I would suggest that it's not that the Ramban, the Chumash is coming to disagree with the Rambam, that a Kalim Shel Hefker, there's no lav. But I would tell you the Ramban is trying to explain that in Pshuto Shel Mikra, it's not in the Meseres Chazal, in Pshuto Shel Mikra, the lav is a lav of bitochen. Which is an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. So I would assume when you're dealing with Chametz, if it's Mechamis Mitzvah, I'm doing the Return of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rosh Maftiach, to go to Eretz Yisrael, and we're going to win Eretz Yisrael, or, whatever it is. But, if all you want to do is you want to extend the Gevulos of Malchus Yisrael, and for that you need a separate Rishus Sanhedrin, but there's no Haftocha, they're going to be Matzliach. It's very odd. I can't say I understand it 100%. I'll throw in, just a foil to that, and then we'll go on. I don't want to belabor the point. The Rambam, and I'm just going to say it over, I'm not going to read it inside, but listen carefully. The Rambam seems to say in Mitzvah Kuf Sadi Aleph, that's the mitzvah of Kohen Mashuach, he adds something there which he doesn't add he doesn't have it in Mishnah Torah. And he seems to say, you see, when one is asked the mitzvah of Kohen Mashuach, what is the mitzvah? To say over the psukim of the Torah. Is he supposed to do something, say something? He's supposed to have an Eged Musa Shmuz? So if you look at the Rambam says he does. It's his Eirus. Divrei Eirus. You don't see that in the Mishnah. And you don't even know in the Rambam Mishnah Torah, the Be'er Sheva says, you look at the Mishnah has questions about different things, but there's no guy you actually say it. Okay, and the Rambam doesn't go beyond that. Kilu, he says that they're kafrim. I never knew that Mechavis Rishus requires kafrim. The kafrim b'Hashem, and das Hashem, whatever. You look at the various things, it's mamish an amazing thing. So if you're ready to say that Mechavis Rishus is a Muhammad kafrim, and someone who the Rambam doesn't formulate this anyway. I'm just saying he has this twice. He has it twice in Minyan HaMitzvos. Second. He has that in Kupsari. See, the odd thing, he doesn't say it in the mitzvah of Milchemes mitzvah. In Kuf Sadi, he doesn't say this. But he talks about Kefrim. He talks about Kefrim in Kuf Sadi Aleph, in Milchemes Rishus, l'chayra. And you look, this preview coming in one of the ways. Look, Nun Ches. And Loisa said Nun Ches. Okay. And this will just whet your appetite. Hashora Shehuzu Milira Es HaKefrim. And there in the original Arabic, it's Al Kafar. In other words, I think there's some that might be Sichlim, but in the Arabic, Al Kafar is Kefrim. Milim not Kefrim. What's going on? Be'ez HaMilchama. Umilaro it's mipaneim to fear from them. Why is it Kefrim? Where did this come from? And look at the last line at the end. Not the second to last line. Ki b'matzav zeh efsha l'kayim as divras ho'emes, wherever that means, or that's a das ho'emes, or das hatera, ashkofas olama sheyadus, whatever you want to translate this as. But it sounds because you're fighting the Kefrim. So I understand you're fighting the Kefrim, then maybe after you're going to win. But I always thought Milchemes Rishus was a political battle because you want to extend your dominion on other territories, as every country in the world did. But now it's not us to do. But there's no country that hasn't done it or hasn't tried to do it. Okay, whatever. So this is just but I think in the Ramban in Pshuto Shemikra, this may be the lav about Tashkis, maybe a lav of B'tochen. Okay. So, then this idea that mitzvahs really are not lefi pshuto shel mikra, but according to the Meseres, okay. So you see, if you take the Ramban and you say the lav is a lav b'tochen, you couldn't extend it to other situations. The about tashchis of kalim don't make no sense. It's only about tashchis of ilum because it's yours and b'tochen. And one last comment over here, and I'll explain to you why I'm saying it, okay? The comment is that one who's studying the Ramban, which we're not doing, okay, we're studying the Rambam at the moment, must ask himself, since the Ramban many times talks about lavim and aseim in the frame of reference of Pshuto Shel Mikra, and the Ramban counts minyan HaMitzvos in terms of the Meseres, what is the meaning? What is the efficacy of an asay, which we only know in Pshuto Shel Mikra, not according to the Meseres? Is it taka? That's the Ratzon HaTeira, but it's not a mitzvah. It's what is it? And it has to be thought about. Okay, that's my last point over here. But I assume if the Ramban worked hard to go to Pirush HaChumash, there is some meaning to this issue of bitachon, even though it's not minyan HaMitzvos. Now, next point here. So there's a big chiddush over here. The Ram learns, and he's not like that in Mishnah Torah, that any time you break something and it's lurik, you chayiv malchus. Even though ika alav is hashchosas creates b'shas motzo, the Ram says in Mishnah Torah, Perek Vav Halacha Ches, ein kotzin loni machol shechutz l'medina ve'im moyni mehen mayim emes hamayim kedei shiyavoshu shenema le'ischashches eitza b'kol ha'kotzitz loike. But he learns in Mishnah Torah that pre-etz is chayiv malchus in general, not all hashchosa. V'lo motzo bovad, but b'chol mokum kol ha'kotzitz ilo machol derech hashchosa loike. So, what he did was he takes more makis literally. His boy, u'b'soif makis, his boy, shakritzitz ilona is tevos, means ilona, it's machol, like it. And Gmor is very meduyik, and it's only that case. And it's very odd because the Torah tells you motzo, and in Protei HaMitzvos, the Ram also shall lahashchis ilonei machol b'motzo. So this I just want to tell you in a sentence where to go to, what points to the answer. We'll discuss it more about Richus. It seems, according to the Rambam, that a certain pulois, in other words, the ikalav doesn't require derech hashchosa. But if you do it derech hashchosa and other things is beyond the ikalav, it also somehow has dinim like the ikalav. And we'll see later that in Kriyas Big De Kuhuna derech hashchosa might be like Kriyas Pimeil. Okay. But what happens over here is the Rambam here in Minyan HaMitzvos says any act derech hashchosa, and the Ramban in Mishnah Torah says it's only pre-etz derech hashchosa. And in Mishnah Torah, he has a raya also the Matiki Ashmur said that Akoitzeitz Ilonis Tevos is like it, so maybe the Matiki Ashmur says it doesn't go so far. It only goes to Stam, creates, but not any derech hashchos. So the question is, if the lav is a lav of hashchosa, and the ikar lav doesn't require derech hashchosa, does it actually supplement? What happens? We'll speak about this soon, because that's what I want to talk about next. And we'll see this all together. The love, I remember the Shiur. I was a young boy. I was just amazed by the Bekiyas, whatever it is. What type of say that? For example, there's a lot of kriya, or a lot of ibur, a lot of ashchosa. Dov she'ena mefurish b'Torah, you need derech hashchosa to mechayim malchus. And that which is mefurish b'Torah, and zik alav, you don't require derech hashchosa. And then he said about tashchis b'motzo b'shas milchama doesn't require derech hashchosa. Hashchosa is priyetz. Shaloi b'shas milchama is boy derech hashchosa b'daf. And that is timil, which is mefurish b'Torah, you don't require derech hashchosa l'malchus, but kriya shabi dekuna you require. That's what he says in Klei HaMikdash v'oivdim boy, Perek Tes Halacha Gimel, hakorei pimiil loike shenemar lo yikra v'hu hadin l'chol bigdei kahuna she'akir on derech hashchosa loike. You know, the diuk is you know, it's the same exact paradigm as here. And then he says, also in Ibud Hashem and the Ibud Dvom Kedoshim, that Ibud Hashem doesn't require derech hashchosa, and Shad Dvom Kedoshim require derech hashchosa b'daf l'malchus. The Ram Perek Vov of the Yisod HaTorah Halacha Aleph Kol Ma'abed Shem min Hashemos HaKadoshim HaTeherim Shenikro Behem HaKadosh Baruch Hu Leike min HaTorah Sha'ari Oimer B'Avodah Zorah V'Ibartem Es Shmom min HaMokom HaHu Lo Yisasen Kel Hashem Elokechem Asrisa Afilu Even Achas Derech Hashchosa derech hashchosa in Mizbeach. It's derech hashchosa. Oh, min ha'heichol, oh, mishar azora loike. There's derech hashchosa. Shenema b'avodah zora, ki es mizbechosim titoitzun, uksiv lo yisas ken Hashem elokech. V'lesoif atzei hektish, derech hashchosa loike. Shenema v'asherei tisum be'esh, uksiv lo yisas ken Hashem elokech. And that is the end of the ball. See, this is a big chiddush, because I would have said this is limited to if it's a lav about tashmis or derech hashchosa. But if the lav is kriya and the lav is ibud, so I guess ibud in the broader sense is hashchosa and kriya is derech hashchosa, and it's all the same. Okay, beseder. The Chol Ram says it's mamish beduik. Each time he says in the Ikra, and then he says later, you know, when I heard it the first time, I was just, I must say, you know, it's, I was overwhelmed when I remember being like, wow, okay. See, this is very nice in itself, but then the question is, what is the issue between Mishnah Torah and Sefer and Min HaMitzvos, and what about hashchosa in other types of hashchosa besides atzei pri? And if you do it there, hashchosa, why? What are the issue whether you are chayim malchus or not? And that's see what the Rav is doing. It's a prelude to ask a question. In other words, the vault itself is beautiful, but afterwards you have to say, so what's the issue over here? And here in Min HaMitzvos, he seems to say you get malchus in all cases. So, and for example, in Me'il, the Torah says Me'il. So you say that Kol Adayma, anything they kuna. So what? It's Kol Adayma over here, and when you go to you see when he introduces it and you say that Torah, when he introduces, let's read it. Kol Ma'abed Shem and Hashemois. Okay, good. Then he says, "Rather Shlomo Zagna Shelish." Hasoise afilu even achas derech hashchosa min hamizbeach or min hahechol or b'shar ha'azor loika shenema v'avodah ki es mizbechosim titoitzu uksiv lo sasel ken l'shem elokecha yisoi v'at hektish loika shenema v'ashoentis v'eish uksiv lo sasel ken l'shem elokecha is the reason why we're extending the lav of Leisasun to all these different cases to Mizbeach is only because of the drasha, and therefore you get Malchus. So then you have to ask yourself, what happened to Big Dekuna? See, the vault itself is beautiful.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it asks more questions than it answers. So how do you work it all out? The Rambam Sefer Mitzvos is very simple. How does he draw the line, and when do you add it? When don't you add it? You have to. When do you extend it through derech hashchosa? Becomes confusing. That was the point I wanted to leave you with this. The vault's very interesting, but you have to think a lot about when you apply it and when you don't apply it. Now, I want to add something over here. If you look over here, the Gemara Makis, Ubesayf Makis, this Chapez Man Aleph, his boy Shakoitz is Ilonis Teves Leike, Bioma Azarose, Mehocha, Kimimenu Seichal, Bioise Loi Sichois. So there's a law. There's a lav sichlos. So I guess it's kefal alav. It could be either way. You can either give it's like kefal alav. So you can either be give ashora if you require ashora, mishum leisashkis and mishum leisichos. Okay. I'd like to ask a question, though, okay? I want to go back and want to show you something, okay? And the Gemara Makis becomes very, very interesting now, and I'll show you why, okay? Just bear with me. Let's look at the pasuk. I just asked you how to read it. Lo yisashkes es eitza, l'ndoyachal of garzel, ki mimeno soichal. Right? So, Kimimeno Seichal is explaining Leisashchis, right? Yes. And V'ois Leisichois is Kefal Alav, correct? That's the way you read it, no? Does anyone read it differently? That's how you read it, correct? Now, let's go back to the Gemara Makis. And is that the way the Gemara is reading it? Look over here. Over Seif Makis, his boya. Shakoitzi lonos tevois like it. The omu vazorose mihocha. So I would have written v'oisli sichos. What does it mean? Kimenu soichal v'oisli sichos? Is kimenu soichal? Is it a prelude to v'oisli sichos? Because the Ramban also does something like that, if you remember. V'atem lo yisasun came. Ki tiftachu b'Hashem she'ite lo yisebiyetchem. Ki odom eza soda. V'menu toichal v'tzichya. V'oboi tzov l'ir. Lo yim l'chor. V'ki b'yoyischa b'machal b'ponecho b'motzo tasekein. So v'atem lo yisasun came l'ashchisa. Why? Ki v'menu toichal. So that's going on after. Ki v'menu toichal. Imenu teichal, uboy sovoy, boir, v'menechal motza loy v'lochat tichi imenu. Gam b'yois chol machne. So it goes back on before, also according to Ramban, right? Is the Gemara Makis changing the story? Kimimeno Teichal, and therefore, I would have said that in the Ramban, but the Ramban doesn't go like that. Kimimeno Teichal, I'm just saying the Gemara in Shutai, unless you flip the world upside down, L'chayr doesn't make any sense. We're just quoting Kimimeno Teichal. You should understand. It doesn't really mean anything. You want to know which person we're talking about. You shouldn't make a mistake because the Gemara doesn't give Ma'am Mekaymes, so it adds the beginning. Should we know? We're talking about this pasuk. So you understand, if the key means Ella, it's only if you have the lav before. Like Loisachai called the Shaba, Ki Haka in Tachime. But if you do the thing before, you go Kis Kimeno Seichal, then it's like a tam. Kimeno Seichal. And therefore, Oisalei Sicho or something like that. So I don't know. I don't get it 100%. And I would have expected. But you look here. Now go back to the Ramban. We might as well do this now. Let's finish it off. Go back to the Ramban in the Minyan Sheshochach Harab. He says at the end, he says like this. The Omu, who Omu Yis'ala, Kimimenu Teichal. The Oisei Leisichreis. He's only quoted in the end. Right? Like the Moamakis. Ubefelish Omu B'Sifrei Kimimenu Teichal Mitzasei. So l'cheira, this Gemara Makis really is like the Ramban, and the Loisase is at the end, and Kimeno Teichal is a prelude. There's an Isase from Krisa, and there's also a Lav. Case. No, I have nothing to say here. I just, it just, see, if you learned the Gemara Makis, I'm not sure you would have hit this point, but especially Ramban, it's the whole thing, and he actually makes a big deal out of it there. So I'm not sure what happens in the Rambam. Mishpatei mitzvah zo, b'sheni mi basro. So the ganze, the mishpatei, I don't know if there's that much more in Lo Yachpo than there is in Makis, but this is the makor for this mitzvah is the Lo Yachpo. And the Pele is the Lo Yachpo. Lo Yachpo is not talking about the Ikar Lav of Motzo. Lo Yachpo is talking about Poshna Bazli.
Second time.
Okay, Mitzvah Hashem, I guess what's the next, the Lav? Oh, so here again, the next Lav is Mitzvah Hashmoina Chamishim, Ishis Hilu, Miliro Min HaKefrim. And we'll have to see, we'll talk about this more, but that was a introduction that, maybe Milchemes Rishos and all Milchemes only because of Kefrim. Can you make a Milchemah with someone who's Makabel Zayin Mitzvahs? And you want the land? And he says, listen, I'm a Shem Mitzvahs. I have the right to do what I want. You can't do this. And, maybe it's a good taina. Okay?
All right.
I'm not getting involved, but just saying over, tell you, that's all. That's all.
Thank you.